Hi, Ed Nodland here. You all know me. I'm going to step through a little bit of this item we've been calling a checklist inside of a program. It's my company's program, GapCross. And I want to show you the benefits of using this over just having a printout of a bunch of items on a PDF checklist. I want to show you how to get started in here. So for starters, I'm going to go into this tab here, and I'm just going to type in GapCross, GAPCROSS.com. And here I can either go click on the dashboard or the Get Started. They both take me to the same place. Move this over to the side. And you'll just put in your email, hit the Start button. It'll send you an email. You might have to check your spam and junk folders. And then you just confirm that it's you. And then from there, you'll end up on a screen that looks like this, the Getting Started screen. You can put your name in here. And then it shows up here, and it also shows up on reports where you are entering in your information. There's a Getting Started. I'm going to go through and show you a little bit. This is just a 5-minute Getting Started. If you want to run through that, you certainly can. Now, once you get in here, then you would go to your assessments dashboard, click Assessment. The program you'll be using is the Edible Product Safety Checklist. And we've put this out, we've added this in. Anybody that creates an account on GapCross automatically gets this program at no cost. And the name for the program, I'll just call this Edible Assessment. I could hit the schedule if I was scheduling assessments out into the future. I'm just going to leave that out and just start that assessment. At this point, it jumps in, got a little information up front. I can just hit the proceed. Now it starts asking me some information, what facility, department, or organization is being assessed. And this is all information that would go into a report. We'll look at a report in just a moment. I'm just going to put in Acme Canna and proceed. Who is involved in the assessment? Jack and Jill. What's the objective of the assessment? I'm just going to skip a couple of these. Provide any other relative information. Now from here, I can see over here, we've answered 3 of these questions, and it's moved into the personnel qualifications and training area. So there's references in each of these. And so I got different tabs here. So I click the reference tab, and I can click on this reference where this question is derived from, coming out of CFR 117. So I'll click on that, and these will jump me right to the CFRs for the FDA regulation on this for this section, and it's highlighting the section that's involved with that. Now, the other thing I can do is, let's see, what do we have? Did you ensure that all individuals engaged in manufacturing process perform their duties? Okay. Now, one of the things we could do in the program, we can work together on this, is decide where we want tips. How do I make this determination? Both, if I'm doing an internal audit or if I'm a second or third party auditor, how do I make that determination? And we'll take a look at tips in just a second and add some in here. Right now, this is just pretty much a basic one. The other thing is, let's say I come up, I make my assessment, look over some records and papers, and I really don't see training information or anything in the employee files. So I can make an observation here, and I could flag this. There's 4 types of flags built in: attention, corrective action, deviation, preventative action. I can also go down here and type in a new flag type. Needs improvement. And then I would put my comment in, that would make a new flag type. I'll show you in the report. I'm just going to use, Let's go back to the flags. I'm just going to use corrective action. Um, Training records are needed. Now, let's say I had good training records and I wanted to take a picture of book of training records or something, or the employee files, just to show that they have a file cabinet, with records in it, or maybe it's a screenshot. I can go to attachments, add an attachment. If I'm using my a mobile device like a cell phone or a tablet, I can just go in here. I can do this on a laptop or a desktop. At the same time, I can log in on a mobile device and just take a picture of things as well, and it'll go right into this. I'm just going to put sharing and say open, and that loads the that attachment in. There's the attachment, and if I want to blow it up, I can view it, whatever that picture would be, and just blow it up to a larger size. And then I just go through and proceed through here. I'll just say yes on this one. We'll just say these items all look pretty good in our assessment. I can also put in comments here. This is my comment. And proceed. Did you retain training records for at least 2 years after they were prepared? Again, I'm going to put a no here, and we'll do a flag. PRs need to be retained. And that's also a corrective action flag. Add and proceed. And I would just step through here answering these questions. I'm just clicking through rather quickly. Default answers are right there. Makes it real fast to, if everything looks good, to get through this. Okay, now I'm into the second section. You can see there by the blue. Blue says the section's complete or those questions are complete. Now we're into the third section on facilities. And let me get a couple of no's in here. Okay, so you've basically seen walking through this. You go through. Now, when you want to report, the other thing here is you can select a prepared for. I can add in my company name. I'll just add in myself. Well, now let's add in, let's say Jack. I would add his full name. Business was Acme Canna. Email address, Jack at acmecanna.com. Phone number 555-1212. Address, I'll leave the address and the note off, and I add Jack in. Now, Jack's in my list, so I can select Jack. And this just shows who, maybe I got different departments, or I have 5 different facilities across the state. And so I could put in a client record for each of those 5 facilities and then select that particular client. Now, if I want to see a report, I click the report button. Not going to have a lot in here because we didn't answer the full thing, but I can see it's the edible product safety report. It's called edible assessment. That's the name that I gave it. There's the prepared for information automatically in there and questions that are in the scope. There's an overall summary, which I didn't fill out because that's in the last section. It gets pulled up into this executive summary section in the report. It's showing me the errors I had. I had 3 of them in the section 4 on facilities and 2 of them in section 2. I can see how many questions I have answered, how many had non-compliant conditions, the weight of the question. Every question in this one right now is just set for a value of 1. We can set this, with different values on different questions depending on a weight and a risk type factor. And then here's the flags. So if I have different types of flags, first of all, it'll show me, I got 2 corrective action flags, and it'll break it down by what sections they're in. I can go back here. Let's go to facilities. And let's just throw a corrective action flag on this one. Observations, flag, corrective action. I don't know what the question was. I'm just going to say fix this. Okay, and let's add that in and let's go back and look at the report. So now you can see that I have 3, 1 in the facilities and 2 in the personal qualifications. Here's my list of flags showing me the question that relates to that flag. So that all gets put up into the summary section. Following the summary section is the assessment details, going through section by section, showing me how I answered it, the expected answer. It has the references. Here I got an attachment on this one. It's showing me the flags and my comments with the flags and a red X that saying that was not compliant. And so you would go through here. Now, a lot of this is just empty at this point because we didn't fill it all out. And then you got appendixes with all the references. You can have your attachments and references. And there's a lot of options in the report generation that you can produce. When you like the way your report looks, then you can generate a PDF. I'm not going to go into all these options. So that's just a quick look. Now, what this does is different than just having a paper printout list, is it actually walks you through very methodically. You're getting a score. So when you come back, you make some corrections, you come back, you can see your scores going up. So for an operation that's really lacking in GMP practices, as they go quarter by quarter, they can start to see that score goes up. It just becomes very engaging. It also works for a very good training tool because you can have employees go through and maybe just do certain sections that apply to them. And then what they do, and now they're actually looking at the facility, looking at their workplace, and it just gives you a new perspective at looking at it, and you start finding things you really hadn't noticed. It just became a daily way of life, a habit of doing things poorly, and you start to look at it with a more critical eye. It's really amazing how that happens. I have a rental that we use for vacation. It's a vacation rental in the San Diego area, and I go through and use that, and it's amazing how many things I find just because of that critical look that I'm taking at it by going through it methodically like this. The other thing that I'm going to do is once you get on and have your account, I'm going to go in and click on the authoring capabilities so you can see what that looks like. And that'll give you a program tab. And in here, I got the edible product safety one. This is the published version. And what I'm going to do is go in. Oh, I'm in a shared account. Let me go up to the real account, which is my real account, not the one I was demoing on. And I'm going to revise this one. And in doing so, for us all to work together and do this, I'll make a revising one, and then I'll come into it, and I can collaborate with you and share it with you so we can all work on editing it. Now I can go in here and edit. Let's see, practices. So one of the things I did here in this question, does management take reasonable measures and precautions to ensure disease control? Employees aren't ill. And what I did in here is I added in a second reference. I'll jump back here into this one real quick and go to assessments. Start this back up again, open. This question here has 2 references in it. And what I want to do is add in the references that'll take us to CCR 212. And so this question that's in CFR 117.10 is also addressed in 3-310A1. So if I click on this one, this jumps me straight into the Colorado regulations on that section. And it's right. Can I highlight that? It won't let me highlight it, but you can see it here. Any person who, there it highlighted it. So it jumps me right into that. And I want to go through and for each of these 115 questions, link in to that. And I also talked about tips. And so I'm going to go into this first question here. Go back to my other screen, getting ahead of myself. Okay, so right here I can add a tip. Are all the individuals qualified? I can put in, I'll just put in something simple here. Check the employee, check the employee records for application, past experience, and training records. Okay, now that tip shows up, I'll just go into test mode here. But I don't want to commit this in with that. If I commit it in, it'll save it in the actual program. And if I go to this question now, you can see the tip that I put in is in there. Go back to the program. And so at this point now, if I go back here, I got this revising one. If I click on commit, that tip is now published, and anybody that creates an assessment off of that program that's in there will have that tip added to it. I'm just going to revert this, and that'll get rid of that little update that I quickly made. So anyhow, this is what that program is. We can all work in here. We can develop it, and we want to find a way to get this out to all the manufacturers in Colorado. In a fair and reasonable value to them to help put this together. So we can talk about this during the meeting on Thursday. I hope you had a chance to take a look at this. And I'll shut up now and get this sent out to you. Bye.